Hi there, I'm Carrie, and welcome back to Animal Farm by George Orwell. In this video, I'm going to be talking about chapters 9 and 10, so all the way to the end of the book. I'm going to summarize both of those chapters, then do a little bit of history, and then do some analysis, closing thoughts, stuff you might see in an essay question, or maybe you could use in a paper. I will put timestamps down in the video notes, so definitely scroll down there, take a look, click around, find whatever it is you need. All right, without further ado, let's get into chapter 9. All right, chapter 9. Boxer is having a rough time. Now, he was injured in the Battle of the Windmill. He actually split one of his hooves, and it's not healing well. Clover's doing her best to patch him up, and Clover and Benjamin are both kind of warning Boxer, like, hey, it's not a good idea to be constantly pushing yourself so hard. You're getting older. You need to slow down and let this hoof heal. Boxer really doesn't want to hear it. He wants to see the windmill done before he retires, and his retirement is just a year away. Now, he knows it probably won't get built, but he's really hoping that if he just pushes really hard this last year, that he'll get enough stone accumulated for the other animals to make a really strong go of it. So, Boxer not slowing down in spite of his injuries. Winter comes on and it is a bad one. Rations are reduced again and again. The animals have less and less to eat, except for the pigs and dogs. Squealer assures all of them that having too strict of rations, being too hardcore about who gets what, is contrary to the spirit of animalism. Haven't heard that one in a while, but okay. Squealer tries to make them all feel better by his Sunday meeting ritual. He's kept up that thing where he keeps showing them the long list of facts and figures about how they're all actually doing much better than they used to be. The animals, for the most part, believe him, mostly because it's getting to the point where none of them can remember what it used to be like anymore. Years have passed since the rebellion, and, not all farm animals have a very long lifespan. Some of them have died, and they really are getting to where they can't remember how things used to be. Now, I said some of them have died. A lot of animals have also been born. In the fall, there are 4 litters of piglets born all at the same time. Mysteriously, all 4 of these litters of piglets look like Napoleon. Now, Napoleon just loves these little pigs, and he decides that these pigs need to be educated. They need the best education. In fact, the other animals need to build a schoolroom for the piglets. Now, the piglets are kind of forbidden from playing with the other young animals. They're kept separate. They've got their own special little play area up by the farmhouse. Napoleon also makes the announcement that when 2 animals meet, when a pig meets another animal on the pathway, pigs going this way, other animals coming this way, when they meet, the other animal needs to learn to start stepping aside and let the pig go first. Pigs are also now allowed to wear ribbons on Sunday, pretty green ribbon to show just how special they are. Now, the farm has unfortunately again run short on money, so they have to sell off even more crops and even more eggs. It's getting really difficult at this point for the hens to actually sustain their population because so many eggs are being sold off instead of getting hatched. And all of the animals are losing weight because of the lack of food, except for the pigs and dogs. The pigs actually seem to be gaining weight. Don't know how that happens. They have figured out how to grow barley and brew their own beer, and all the pigs get a special ration of beer each day. Napoleon likes to drink his out of a soup tureen, a big soup bucket. So that's nice. Now, the animals do agree, in spite of the hardship, life is, more dignified than it used to be. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance on Animal Farm. They have lots of speeches, lots of songs, they have parades. Once a week, Napoleon insists that they have this thing called a spontaneous demonstration. Spontaneous meaning unplanned. But Napoleon declares they're going to have this once a week. It's where all the animals line up and they march around the farm together. The horses hold a banner that says "Long live Comrade Napoleon," and they have lots of speeches and songs about how Napoleon is so amazing and does so many great things for them. Those are their spontaneous, totally unplanned demonstrations. In the spring, Animal Farm is actually proclaimed a republic, And Napoleon is even elected president. Wow. Also, about this time, the squealer comes forward to let all the animals know that the pigs have discovered even more secret documents that show how bad Snowball is. You remember Snowball, who we haven't seen or heard from in like 4 chapters? Well, the pigs have discovered even more secret, long-lost evidence that Snowball was not only in league with Farmer Jones, but in the Battle of the Cowshed that happened back in chapter 4, Snowball was actually leading the charge against Animal Farm, and Napoleon was the one who fought him off. So, man, Snowball, your stock is going down. Also, Moses the tame raven is back. Now, we haven't seen him since chapter 2. He left the farm when Farmer Jones left. Now, none of the animals liked him back in the day because he was Farmer Jones' special little pet, and Farmer Jones would kind of hang out with him on the back porch and feed him little beer snacks. None of the other animals liked that because he never did any work. He just talked about this sugar candy mountain story that he had. Well, now Moses is back, and he is still talking about Sugar Candy Mountain. It is this amazing farmland up in the skies where there's plenty of food, lots of oats, and beautiful fields to lay down in, and it will be nothing but rest and calm and relaxation for the animals. And it's gonna, that's what happens after you die. That's where you go after you die, and it's gonna be amazing and wonderful. A lot of the animals believe him, partially because, they need to believe it. They need to say, like, something better has got to be out there. There has got to be something more restful than this. So because of how hard their lives are, they really want to believe Moses, and so they do. The thing is, nobody can really figure out how the pigs feel about Moses because he doesn't do any work. He just talks, and the pigs really roll their eyes at the whole Sugar Candy Mountain thing. They say that's silly, but they let him stay. And not only do they let him stay, he has his own little ration of beer that he gets to drink with the pigs every day. The spring passes, summertime comes on, and Boxer is just 1 month away from his retirement. His hoof has finally healed up after a long, hard year. He's been pushing himself so hard because he wants to see the windmill well underway before he retires. Well, one day there is a terrible commotion. The pigeons come up from the quarry to say that Boxer is injured. Clover and the other animals race down to the quarry, and they find Boxer lying on the ground, bleeding from the mouth. Clover, of course, is horrified. She sends the other animals for help. About a quarter of an hour later, Squealer makes his way down to the quarry and tells everyone, hey, Napoleon knows. He's so concerned about you, Boxer, and he's making arrangements right now for you to go to the veterinary hospital over in the next town, and we're going to get this fixed. We're going to get this taken care of. So Clover and Benjamin kind of help Boxer back to his stall, and they wait 2 days for the vet to come and pick up Boxer. In this time, they do their best to keep him calm, keep him comfortable, and Boxer just continues to reassure Clover and Benjamin, his best friends, hey, I'm fine. I'm not upset. If the vet is able to fix this lung, I'll probably live another couple of years. And you know what? I'm looking forward to it even. I'm looking forward to retiring. I'm finally going to have the time to focus on learning. I am going to learn the alphabet. I'm going to learn to read, and I am finally going to be able to read the 7 commandments for myself. Well, Clover and Benjamin can only stay with him in the evening hours when they're not working. So they leave a couple of days later to go to work. The van to pick up Boxer comes in the middle of the day when they are gone and he is alone. Clover is down in the quarry working when Benjamin, the donkey, comes galloping up. He's braying at the top of his lungs. And I don't know if you've ever heard a donkey get upset and bray, but it is ear splitting. They have lung capacity. So Benjamin runs up, braying, and he says they're taking Boxer away. Well, all the animals run up to the farmhouse to wave him off. Bye, Boxer. Hope he gets feeling better. We can't wait to see you again. Everything's going to be fine. Benjamin breaks in and he's like, you idiots, read the side of the van. So they look at the van that Boxer is loaded up in. It does not say veterinary hospital. It says horse slaughterer. This is the knacker, the glue maker that takes horses away to be processed into leather and glue. All of the animals are horrified. Clover runs after the van, calling to Boxer, saying, "Get out of the van, they're gonna kill you, get yourself out of there." Boxer tries to kick his way out, but his lung is shot. His strength is gone and he cannot get out of the van. They take him away. A couple days later, Squealer comes to the other animals to let them know that Boxer has died peacefully at the animal hospital. He says everything was done for him. He wasn't scared. I was with him. He wasn't alone. And his last words to me were, "Napoleon is always right." That's what he wanted you guys to remember. He wanted you guys to know Napoleon is always right. Then Squealer says, "There is a nasty rumor going around that we sold Boxer to the knackers." How could you guys possibly think that? How could you believe that? There is a simple explanation. The van that came to get him used to belong to the knackers. Well, the vet bought it from him. He just hasn't painted it yet. He just hasn't put his veterinary logo on it. This calms the animals down a little bit. At least they have an explanation. At the next Sunday meeting, Napoleon gets up. He gives a little eulogy for Boxer and tells them, we were not able to bring back Boxer's remains. We couldn't bring his body back to be buried here on the farm, but we're still going to have a memorial for him. In fact, we're planning a memorial banquet to honor Boxer. Well, the day of the banquet, the memorial banquet comes, and the grocery van comes and makes a special delivery. And it goes around the farm later on that the pigs have gotten the money from somewhere to buy themselves another big case of whiskey. End chapter 9. Let's go straight into chapter 10. So years have passed at the start of chapter 10, and most of the original animals on the farm have died at this point. Only a few of the pigs, Clover, Benjamin, and Moses, are left from back before the rebellion. Boxer and Snowball have pretty much been forgotten at this point, except by Clover and Benjamin. None of the other animals on the farm know about the rebellion except what they're told, because they weren't there for it. They don't remember it. Now, Clover is actually 2 years past retirement age at this point, but she is still working. In fact, no animal has ever retired on Animal Farm. The farm is more prosperous now. There's a lot more animals. There's more land, fields that they bought off of Farmer Pilkington, and the windmill finally got finished, and it is working. It's not electric. It is instead used for milling corn, grinding corn up, and that brings in a profit to the farm. There is another windmill under construction, and this one is going to be electric, but the things that Snowball really dreamed that the windmill would be for, heating the stalls, bringing them hot water, putting light in the animal stalls, that's all pretty much gone out the window. Those are luxuries, and Napoleon does not like luxuries. He says, true happiness in life is hard work and frugality, saving your money, living very cheaply. Anything else is contrary to the spirit of animalism. So the farm seems to be richer, but the animals themselves aren't, with the exception of the pigs and dogs. And there are lots of both of those, but they don't do any work that actually produces food. The pigs do paperwork, essentially. Squealer is always telling them about all the files and reports and memos that the pigs have to spend all of their time on. Really complicated stuff that the other animals just could not hope to ever understand, and it takes up all the pigs' time. Now, in spite of how hard they work and the fact that they're always cold and hungry, the animals do kind of maintain a sense of pride. This is still Animal Farm. This is still the only animal-owned farm in all of England. There are no masters here. We are all equal. And they still believe in, the dreams and the goals that Old Major once talked about. This republic of the animals where they truly have power and they've got some leisure and say over their own lives. The animals still believe that this is going to come someday. Just like Old Major, they tell themselves, I may not live to see it, but it's going to happen someday. I'm going to keep working for it, and someday that will come. One day, Squealer decides to take the sheep out to the other side of the farm. He tells everybody he's got to teach the sheep something. He's got a new little song for them, and he needs a lot of time with them if they're going to pick this up. They're having a real hard time with it. They're gone for almost a week to the other side of the farm. The night that they get back, all of the animals are in their stalls, kind of bedding down for the night when they hear a terrible commotion from the barnyard. It is Clover, and she is neighing at the top of her voice. All the animals run to Clover to find out what's wrong, what's happened to her. They see what Clover sees. It is Squealer walking across the barnyard on his hind legs. Squealer is walking on 2 legs. After Squealer, all of the other pigs come out of the farmhouse one by one, walking on 2 legs. Last of all comes Napoleon, walking on 2 legs and carrying a whip. Now, the animals are shocked by this. They may be scared of the pigs and dogs, but this is too much. Somebody's got to argue. Somebody's got to say something. Just as they're kind of getting themselves together to mount a protest against this, the sheep break out with a chorus of their special song, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. No. They've got a new song now. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. So the sheep just go crazy with this song. It's a huge, loud ruckus, and by the time they get the sheep calmed down enough so that someone else can talk, the pigs have gone back inside, the dogs are back on guard duty, and it is too late to say anything. Now, Clover is really the most disturbed by this. She takes Benjamin over to the barn where the 7 commandments are painted, and she tells him, Benjamin, my eyes are going. I'm old. I can't see like I used to, and I was never a good reader, but is it just me, or do the 7 commandments look different? Please read them to me. So Benjamin looks up on the farm, on the barn wall, and where the 7 commandments used to be, it has been completely painted over. The 7 commandments are gone, and only 1 commandment is there now. And it says, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. After the pigs start walking, really nothing is surprising anymore. Within a couple days after this, all of the pigs are carrying whips. They're wearing clothes. They start subscribing to newspapers and magazines. They install a radio. Napoleon smokes a pipe. Just nothing is surprising to the animals anymore. It's too far gone. About a week after this incident, a large group of humans, other farmers, arrive on Animal Farm to take a tour and be welcomed by the pigs as friends. Hey guys, come check this out, see what we are doing here. So after giving the humans a tour of their farm, they have a dinner party with Napoleon and a few of the other higher ranking pigs and the men from the surrounding farms. Now, one of the guests there is Farmer Pilkington, their neighbor. Now, he and Napoleon have become like BFF over the last couple of years. They are on very good terms. And at this dinner party, Farmer Pilkington gets up and has everybody raise a toast. Let's talk about our friendship and, the great business that we are going to do together. And may I just say, Napoleon, I am so impressed by how little you have to feed your animals and how much work you can get out of them. I am just really excited to implement some of what you do on my own farm. Everybody, please raise your glasses and toast to the prosperity of Animal Farm. Now, Napoleon is listening to this, and he is just so touched by Farmer Pilkington's speech that he gets up and gives him a hug and makes his own toast. I want to salute our friendship as well. A few years ago, there were terrible rumors going on that we were some kind of revolutionaries here and that we wanted some kind of uprising and we saw humans as enemies and we wanted to free all the animals. None of that was ever true. We've got nothing but friendship for you guys, and I do want to remind you, we've got nothing but friendship for each other. I may be the one in control of Animal Farm, but it's actually owned jointly by all the pigs. I'd also like to announce some of the changes that you're going to see pretty soon on Animal Farm. The animals have this weird habit of calling each other comrade. We're not going to be doing that anymore. There was also some weird ritual where they marched by an old boar skull that was up on a stake in the middle of the garden. We're not doing that anymore either. Don't even know how that got started. We buried that old boar skull. Also, that weird flag that was up there, you know, the green flag with the hoof and the horn. Yeah, we don't know what that's about either. We got rid of that flag and we've just got a nice, lovely, plain green flag for our beautiful farm. Also, I want to take this opportunity to announce that this place is no longer going to be known as Animal Farm, but by its true and original name, the Manor Farm. So will please everyone toast with me to the prosperity of the Manor Farm. The other animals are out in the barnyard watching and hearing all this, and they're just kind of dumbfounded. They don't know what to make of it anymore. So they just start to head back to the barn to go back to their beds. About this time, they hear a terrible crash and shouting from the house. They turn around and run back to the window to see what has happened. The pigs and the humans have sat down for an after-dinner card game, and a fight has broken out because Farmer Pilkington and Napoleon have played the same card, the Ace of Spades, at the same time. So a terrible fight breaks out where the animals are all watching this, and as they watch this fight from the yard, you know, watching it through the window, they realize that they really can't tell the difference between the humans and the pigs anymore. The very last bit of the book says, "The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again, but already it was impossible to say which was which." The end. All right, we'll get back to the novel here in just a minute, but I want to touch on just a little bit more history before we do that. I want to catch up with our long-lost Leon Trotsky and find out what it is that happened to him. Now, in the late 20s, Stalin took over and threw him out of the Soviet Union. Trotsky had to run for his life, and he never made it back to Russia. He lived another 12 years after this, and he never stopped working. Trotsky kept working, he kept talking, he kept writing. He published a lot of books and essays in his lifetime. In 1937, he published a book called The Revolution Betrayed: What is the Soviet Union and Where is it Going? And in this book, Trotsky laid out a lot of the things, he summed up a lot of the things that we still associate with Stalinism and the early Soviet Union. You see, in the 1930s, a lot of the popular European thinkers of the day were still kind of on Stalin's side. They thought, hey, he must be onto something, because they were only getting the official story. They only knew what Stalin was telling them. So in his book, Trotsky really tried to lay out exactly what Stalin was doing. He pointed out the cult of personality that was around Stalin. And cult of personality is this, it's almost like this worshipful attitude towards the leader. Like, no matter what it is that this person does, no matter what they say, their followers just go with it. Even if they contradict themselves, the leader must be right. That's a cult of personality. He just kind of, you know, is magnetic, just brings people into him, and they are unswervingly loyal. Trotsky also lets people know this is not a democracy. These people don't have any power. This is a dictatorship. You know, you're being told that this is some kind of power to the people, but it's not. You know, 20 years ago, they had an aristocratic ruling class. Now they have a bureaucratic ruling class. There's not equal opportunity around there. You know, to join the party and get these great, important jobs that they have, you have to be from the right family. You have to know the right people. We've exchanged one ruling group for the other one. Stalin is basically living and acting like the Tsar did 20 years ago, while the rest of the country, the rest of the Soviet Union, is living in complete poverty. Trotsky even goes so far as to compare Stalin to another historical figure, Napoleon Bonaparte. Just like Napoleon came upon a people's revolution in France and kind of strong-armed it, took control of it, set himself up as emperor, Trotsky says this is exactly what Stalin has done. We had a people's revolution going, and he hijacked it, and set himself up as the king. You know, he may not call himself the czar, but that's exactly what's going on here. Now, Trotsky wrote this book before the rest of Europe really knew what was going on. This book was released about the time that the first news of the purges was starting to leak out of Russia. The press started to get a hold of it and spread this news around of what was going on. Meanwhile, Trotsky has been waving this flag the whole time. Something is wrong here. Everyone, please pay attention. Not everything is okay. So yeah, power of the written word. I do want to tell you another quick little story, power of the press. The press gets a lot of flack, but I think we underestimate what a wonderful, incredible resource a free press is, how important that is to a free society. In the early 1930s, no one really had an issue with Stalin yet. They didn't really know what was going on. Well, one British journalist, a guy named Gareth Jones, slipped into Ukraine and observed what was happening there. It was the Holodomor, that man-made famine where 4 million, up to 10 million, actually, Ukrainians died of starvation. Now, Gareth was the only one to get in there, and writing under his own name, he sent the news back to London, like, this is happening. Stalin is not who we think he is. He is killing these people, and he blew this story up. That is one guy using the power of the written word, the power of the free media to save lives, to kind of bring all of this to the surface. Something is extremely wrong here. Now, just a couple of years later, while he was on another assignment in China, the NKVD, the secret police, caught up with Gareth Jones, and he was murdered just a couple of years after he blew up this story about the Holodomor. Trotsky didn't fare much better, I'm afraid. 3 years after he published The Revolution Betrayed, Trotsky was living in Mexico. Stalin had never forgotten Trotsky. He always had an eye on Leon Trotsky, and he has been after him, trying to kill him for years at this point. In 1940, the NKVD finally caught up with Trotsky, and he was assassinated at his home in Mexico. Now, this was one of 3 hit squads that Stalin had out on Trotsky in 1940. If your country is on the verge of invasion from Nazi Germany, and you're spending the time and effort to send 3 hit squads after one dude who's on the other side of the world, how insecure and frightened must Stalin have been? Frightened of Trotsky and the power of his words, the power of the message that Trotsky was carrying. I think it's another thing that's important to remember about this book, The Revolution Betrayed, that Trotsky did not denounce socialism itself. He denounced Stalinism. He denounced one guy, and he said, this is not socialism. This is not how it's supposed to be. This is not what we dreamed of. This is a dictatorship. This is totalitarianism. This is one guy that has ruined it. And Trotsky and also George Orwell, who was a democratic socialist, both of them continued to believe in socialism while denouncing Stalin. They denounced Stalinism, and they said the real socialist society hasn't happened yet, but maybe one day it will. Let's get back to the book. All right, in chapter 9, let's talk about some of the historical parallels that you might have noticed. That cult of personality that Trotsky pointed out in his book, we can see that in chapters 8 through 10, this kind of worshipful attitude that the other animals have adopted towards Napoleon. He has these over-the-top songs. You know, Minimus, the poetry pig, writes this thing that's like basically a love poem about Comrade Napoleon, the leader. It's way over the top, and all the animals sing it together. He gets credit for absolutely everything, even things that couldn't possibly be in his control. There are constant parades and speeches that talk about how wonderful he is. And in chapter 9, we get another retelling of the Battle of the Cowshed, where Napoleon played an even bigger heroic role and Snowball was even worse. You know, he was totally on the other side. So Napoleon is elevated even more into this like hero, like almost savior status. We also see the growth of the bureaucracy, this new ruling class. Those are the piglets, this huge group of piglets that is all born at the same time. And they are going to have special privileges that the other young animals do not get. They're going to have an education. They're going to have their own schoolroom. They have their own play area. They get to wear ribbons. They are going to be taught from a very young age that they are above the other animals. This is the new aristocracy. They are above and beyond what the other animals can aspire to. They're going to have opportunities that the other animals will never even get to look at. Also, Moses the Tame Raven is back in town. Now, we have not seen him since chapter 2. He left the farm when Jones left the farm. And none of the others really liked him because he was Jones' special little pet. Now, he represents the Russian Orthodox Church. When the Bolshevik Revolution happened, they tried to get rid of the Russian Orthodox Church because they were closely aligned with the aristocracy and with the Tsar. They didn't like that. They didn't want any more of that. They decided that the Soviet Union was going to be an atheist regime. This was going to be an atheist country. A lot of the priests and the clergy were killed off, and they were actually targeted again during Stalin's purges. They were one of the groups that the NKVD rounded up and shot or sent to prison camps. However, 1941, when the Nazis attacked, Stalin brought the Russian Orthodox Church back because he needed that patriotic element. He needed that extra push, to inspire unity, to inspire patriotism in the people. There's a greater purpose here and you need to fight back. So Moses represents the Russian Orthodox Church. He was sent away with Jones. Now he is back and he is preaching this sugar candy mountain. The pigs allow him to stay, and like Jones, they even give him a little beer snack of his own. He gets his own little beer ration. But he is serving a purpose for them. So Stalin did not bring back the church because he was a religious person. It was because he needed them for something. The pigs have brought Moses back because they need him for something. At some point, the hunger and the cold, they know, is going to get the better of the animals. Squealer's lists of facts and figures and, tales of how Napoleon is so wonderful and tales of the rebellion. That's not going to sustain these animals forever. That's not going to keep them loyal forever. So they bring Moses back to spread this word about Sugar Candy Mountain, this wonderful place that happens after you die. You do your hard work now and there's a reward coming later. It's like an insurance policy to be sure that the animals keep working, that they stay loyal. Let's also talk a little bit about Boxer. First, let's cover his injuries. Now, he ends up with a split hoof in the Battle of the Windmill. Now, this is very painful for a horse. If they have a crack in their hoof that actually, it bleeds, it goes up into their foot, that can be helped. Like a vet with immediate attention can do something for that. Otherwise, the horse will be in pain. The horse will eventually go lame. A horse's hoofs might crack because of a nutritional deficiency or possibly because their feet aren't being cared for. I have a friend that keeps a lot of horses, and the farrier, the horseshoer, and the vet frequently make visits out to her property because they need to see to the horse's feet. They need to be sure that the hooves are properly trimmed and that, no pieces of gravel or anything has gotten lodged up in the horse's foot, because that can, over time, compromise the horse's foot. So this shows us that Boxer's feet have not been taken care of. The pigs are not caring properly for the animals. Now, if you have one extremely powerful resource, which is what Boxer is, you would be smart to take care of it. Boxer is the most powerful animal on the farm, both emotionally and physically. All the other animals are inspired by him. They look to Boxer. He's also physically the strongest. He can do more work than anyone else. If the pigs were smart, they would be very careful with Boxer. They would protect him, be sure that he's healthy, make sure that he's in the very best shape possible so that he can do the most work for the longest. This is the smart way to do it, but they don't do that, and as a result, Boxer is getting hurt. A split hoof is a sign that he has not been cared for a long time. Then there's the lung injury. Again, this happens because he has been overworked. This is not one single trauma. If you've ever seen photos of racehorses, sometimes you see a horse on the track, that's been running really hard for a long time. They sometimes get nosebleeds. That's because they've been over-exercised and their lungs start to bleed. And sometimes that blood can come out and it will stream through their nose. Now, again, something can be done if a vet interferes right away. Old Major actually predicts exactly what is going to happen to Boxer in his opening speech in chapter 1. He says, "You, Boxer, the very day that those great muscles of yours lose their power, Jones will sell you to the knacker, who will cut your throat and boil you down." That's exactly what does happen to Boxer. The only thing that Old Major gets wrong is who actually does sell him. Now, the fact that the pigs got money from somewhere to buy whiskey suggests that they only sold Boxer for money, but I think it's more than that. Boxer was 1 month from retirement, and Boxer has shown in previous chapters he's okay with voicing his opinion. He's okay with saying that he disagrees with something that Squealer says, with something that the pigs are doing. And Boxer was already talking about, "I'm about to retire." Everyone had heard it. If Boxer had been able to retire, then all the animals on the farm would have seen that. Everyone would have wanted their eventual retirement. They would have expected their eventual retirement. By getting rid of Boxer, the pigs don't have to deal with that. They don't have to deal with anyone asking to retire. They just put Boxer out of the picture, and that takes care of the problem for them. He gets taken off to the knackers. Now, a knacker is a person that was responsible for dealing with animal corpses, particularly large animals like horses, cows, and pigs. And they would, cart away these corpses, and they would process them into consumer products like leather and, most famously, glue. They call the knacker the glue maker. This shows that the pigs see their workers as commodities. The animals are not animals anymore. They are soulless, they are faceless, they don't have a voice. They're just tools to be used. They're resources to be used up. As we get into chapter 10, we see even more of this perfect foreshadowing where Old Major told them word for word exactly what was going to happen. The speaker tells us there is this persistent hope among the animals on chapter 10 that one day the Republic of the Animals is going to come. They may not live to see it, but one day it's happening. They switch to this future tense. Someday this is going to happen. This is exactly what Old Major said. I'm dreaming of this happening. I probably won't live to see it, but I believe in it. Someday this is going to happen for us. The pigs and dogs also become exactly how Major describes the humans. In chapter 1, he points out that the humans can't produce food on their own. Only through using the other animals can they do that. The pigs and dogs, we're told in chapter 10, produce no food on their own. They work, sort of, but they can't make any food, or they choose not to make any food by their own labor. Also in chapter 1, Old Major says, anything on 2 legs is an enemy. And when the Republic comes, when the humans are defeated, you have to be very careful not to pick up any of their habits. Don't act the way that they do. Well, as soon as the pigs in chapter 10 learn to walk, they quickly adopt all of Farmer Jones's habits. In chapter 2, the speaker says this about Farmer Jones. He had taken to drinking more than was good for him. For whole days at a time, he would lounge in his Windsor chair in the kitchen, reading the newspapers, drinking, and occasionally feeding Moses on crusts of bread soaked in beer. His men were idle and dishonest, the fields were full of weeds, the buildings wanted roofing, the hedges were neglected, and the animals were underfed. As soon as the pigs learn to walk, they do all of this. They even subscribe to newspapers. They start smoking. They just wander around the garden, don't do any real work. Old Major also puts out there, telling them all animals are equal. Remember that. All animals are equal. There should not be any masters. No one is going to be inferior or superior. And when we overthrow people, you need to remember that people and animals have no common interests. You should never touch money. You should never engage in trade. Don't do business with them. Well, at the end of the book, that is exactly what's happening. The pigs are welcoming the humans to the farm to show them everything that they have accomplished so that we can start doing business together. We can start making money. Let's also talk about the destruction of the Ten Commandments. We've seen that happen one by one in previous chapters, but in chapter 10, everything that's left is just completely obliterated. And it happens in this episode where the pigs start walking. So I'll show you exactly how this goes down. 7 commandments. Whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. So just by walking, the pigs are now 2-legged. They are breaking the first commandment. That one is out the window. 2nd commandment. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. Well, this is out the window too, because they've taught the sheep this new song, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. You know, we're not friends anymore. We are on a different level than you. So 2nd commandment out the window. 3 through 6. No animal shall wear clothes. They're already wearing hats and ribbons, and they start wearing full outfits after this. No animal shall sleep in a bed. They moved into the house a long time ago. No animal shall drink alcohol. They're brewing their own at this point. No animal shall kill any other animal. Well, we settled that back in chapter 7. They certainly will if it suits them. So the 7th commandment, all animals are equal, goes out the window the moment that Napoleon steps out of the farmhouse carrying a whip. Whip is the universal symbol of slavery. That is a very clear message to all the animals from Napoleon. I am the master. You are not in charge here. You are not equal to me. That is when Clover goes. She takes Benjamin to the side of the barn where the 7 commandments were because, you know, something's wrong. She can tell. And of course, her instincts are correct. When she actually looks up onto the side of the barn, the 7th commandments have been physically removed. They are physically gone. And the only thing in its place is this new logo. Some animals are more equal than others. To finish things off, Napoleon completely rewrites the history of Animal Farm, and he does that in that last toast he makes at the dinner party. He says, A, that humans are welcome, that the pigs own the farm. It is not animal owned. You know, there's no equality here. This is a pig owned farm. He says there never was a revolution. We were never interested in stirring up your animals and calling them to an uprising. Then he gets rid of the little cultural bits that could remind the animals of their history. He said, we're not going to call each other comrade anymore. No more of that comrade nonsense. Old Major is forgotten. The boar skull that the animals still march past, Old Major's skull, he's gotten rid of that. That's buried, and he's going to pretend that he doesn't even know what that is anymore. Also, the flag, the green flag with the hoof and horn, is changed. It goes to just a plain flag, no more hoof and horn. I think this is partially because they don't want to insinuate that the other animals matter on this farm. Pigs do not have horns, for one thing, and about half of the animals on a farm have some sort of hoof. So they don't want a flag that represents all animals. They just want a flag that they can claim for themselves. So they get rid of the hoof and horn. The last thing Napoleon does is he said, this is not Animal Farm. This is the Manor Farm. And he's exactly right. It's not Animal Farm. Things are just as they once were, so why not call it what it is? This is the Manor Farm. Now, something interesting that the author throws in right at the end is that while the animals are looking through the window at this dinner party and card game, Pilkington and Napoleon both try to cheat at cards at the same time, in the same way, with the exact same card. We don't know which one of them cheated. Maybe they both cheated, but we can't tell one from the other. We can't tell the cheater from the fair player. So that puts us in the same boat with the animals as they're looking inside and they can't tell one from the other because it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter which one is which. All right, well, that's all I've got for you on Animal Farm. I hope you found something in these videos helpful. If I missed something in chapter 9 and 10, definitely drop that in the comments and I will do my best with it. Or if there was a totally different book you were looking for and you want me to make a video about that, put that in the comments as well, and I will see what I can do. All right, well, best of luck to you, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye.